Social media misconstrued NBA narratives. Social media can only tell you so much about a game, and if you're relying on just social media to understand everything about a basketball game, you're going to be misled. This is something I've seen a bunch of times, but I really want to talk about it after they revealed the Eastern Conference Finals MVP for this season. Indiana Pacers just beat New York Knicks 4-2 to now head to the finals. And when crowning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, they named Pascal Siakam, an all-star who was recently traded to the Indiana Pacers. But a lot of people were pretty shocked that it wasn't another star player on the Pacers, that being Tyrese Haliburton, who is known to be the face and the leader of this team. He had a really good series himself. He had a lot of noble moments, had a lot of serious plays, game-tying threes or twos, or however you want to call it, and overall just pretty historical stat lines every now and then. On social media, a lot of the highlights pointed towards Haliburton, and it makes sense since he is the point guard of this team. As the person having the ball most times in the game, he is going to have opportunities to make more highlights. On top of that, he's a very dynamic player in terms of how well he's able to play make and pass. So there were a lot of plays, a lot of highlights that had him just having very creative or innovative ways of passing the ball. All these posts coming at a time with him kind of being the main face had everyone thinking that it is going to be him that will win the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So you can imagine the people that have only been consuming social media, and even Tyrese himself, being a bit shocked that Pascal Siakam was the one that ended up carrying that trophy. People who only rely on social media are shocked that Haliburton didn't win, but most people who actually did spend their time watching all 6 games, when they heard that Pascal Siakam was the one that won, they were pretty happy for him, mainly because they know, whether if you're a Knicks fan or a Pacers fan, you know that he does deserve it. You could even say he might deserve it a little bit more than Haliburton. Now yes, if you only rely on social media to get this intel, and all you saw was Tyrese Haliburton with these highlights, and he didn't win, of course you might think that he got robbed of this trophy. But the thing is that these people have now bought into this narrative that social media has curated, and when the results did not end up aligning with that said narrative, now people are out mad and outraged because it didn't align with multiple 5-second highlights of this guy. There's a lot of people who would be in these comment sections talking about how Haliburton got robbed because obviously they thought he was the best player to beat in this series. When people kind of challenged him and said no, they believe that Pascal Siakam was the one that actually deserves it. This one commenter kind of note I wanted to note, I was talking about how he wouldn't waste any time watching any Pacers game, but based off what social media was posting, he thought that Haliburton should have won. Now, for me personally, this is pretty frustrating for a few reasons. Firstly, the guy got through social media that Haliburton was the most impactful player, which is fine. But when the results came out that it was actually Pascal Siakam that they deemed the MVP of that series, this commenter didn't sit and tell himself, like, the narrative that they've been giving me is not aligned with the reality, so maybe I should look into some sort of I don't know, some game logs. I should look into some recaps, some I don't know, people discussing the games or even watching the full games themselves if they have time. They didn't try to figure out why what they thought was real did not happen to be the reality of it all. And two, after not actually looking into why Pascal won or why Haliburton didn't, they go to Instagram or social media and just be in outrage. And it's funny because this outrage isn't even real if you think about it. It's one thing to be wrong, but to be loud and wrong is something that's just so crazy to me. Like, if something did not align with what you believed in initially, I'm so shocked that there's people who wouldn't do their due diligence to figure out why it didn't align, but instead they'll take the time to tell everyone and their moms that, oh, this is I can't believe this can't be right, after not really actually putting in, again, time and energy into that said subject. And I guess in that case you can say that social media maybe was trying to mislead us with this narrative, but social media wasn't intentionally trying to be misleading. At the end of the day, all social media can do in terms of highlights is just show you what they believe can get it the most clicks. And so it isn't that they're trying to deceive you intentionally, it's simply because there's only so much information that they can provide you through certain highlights. Now, before I actually go on to keep talking, I just want to note that the voting for the Eastern Conference Finals MVP was super close. It actually went down to just one vote. So it's not that ridiculous to think that Tyrese Haliburton is the winner, or you thought he was the winner. And as someone that was watching the series myself, I actually just expected Tyrese to be the winner, because usually for these types of awards, the winner is the person that is the face or leader of this team. But when they announced that it was Pascal Siakam, I was actually pretty happy for him. Even as someone that was voting for the Knicks to be in this series, to see him kind of get his flowers was something special. Because if you did watch the games, you know that it was well deserved. Now let me try and break it down into why exactly Pascal won over Hallie. I think one of the first things obviously is consistency. Halliburton had pretty high performances throughout that series. He had a game-tying two in the first game, as well as a pretty historical stat line that doesn't really happen or hasn't happened ever. But Pascal also had a lot of good quality performances, as well as he was just more consistent throughout the series. You see that Pascal had some games where he was dropping 39 or 30, and it was pretty consistent throughout the entire series. Whereas Halliburton, although we had that historical game, he also had a game where he only dropped 8 points. So you can kind of see that one person was a bit more consistent than the other. And I think for some of the voters, they deemed that consistency to be something of more value in terms of winning the MVP award. And the second thing, which kind of aligns with the fact that you wouldn't see Pascal on social media, it's just him doing the little things. The thing about Halliburton's game is that it's so dynamic and it's so fun to watch as someone that just enjoys basketball. And of course, these social media platforms know that he has the type of style that will energize anybody on the team or even watching the game. But for Pascal Siakam, you kind of see that he does just the little things. Spot up shots, easy cuts, nice lays, going into the paint, doing little things, getting these and ones. He does a lot of the little things that aren't really like highlight worthy, but if you're watching these games, you feel the impact so clearly and you see it through and through for all multiple games where it's like he is the reason doing these little things that's holding them being Indiana Pacers to, you know, in this game or to even be excelling in this game. And again, I think the people who voted, some people looked at Halliburton's impact, and there was a lot of impact that I should definitely say that you need both Tyrese and Pascal Siakam to win this series. But some people deemed the more little things to be more impactful than the highest that Halliburton had. Now, this really spoke to me, but like it's so much bigger than just basketball, because obviously there are a lot of other videos I can talk about the analytics and the narrative behind this in terms of just simply basketball. But I think just kind of seeing the internet's reaction to this and being able to watch the games, it kind of gave me this idea talking about how social media is really misleading. This whole discussion kind of speaks to the lack of substance that social media can have. You really can't gauge a whole 48 minutes of basketball with these 15-second, 10-second clips that only pick out the best maybe 2-3 plays out of like who knows how many during a game. I don't think it's enough to gauge your entire perspective on a game or on a series or on anything just based off social media. If you really didn't put any energy or time into understanding a topic or a discussion, then I don't think you should be outraged about that discussion or topic at all. I think if there's something that you see on social media, I think you should take the time to then actually read it about it yourself, do more research, and get a better understanding of the holistic view or the holistic point of whatever you're seeing. If after doing your research you realize that no, like this does align with the truth or what you believe is the truth, then any outrage you might feel or any emotions you might feel is justified because you did spend that time to actually understand it. And if you can't be bothered to put any time and energy into something that's just on social media, then I just don't think you have the right to not only be enraged, but I think if anything, I think you should just be quiet. Again, I don't understand how people can be the loudest in the room and just know so little. To engage in these discussions without actually doing your due diligence or doing any research just kind of shows your intelligence as a person, but also just the type of person that you are, as someone that just wants to be loud and talk and be heard, but never wants to listen. Now, that's kind of mainly be speaking to people who feel like they should be outraged over things they haven't done any research on, as well as they should be very vocal, even though they might be ignorant on something. But what about people who are quiet, people who are first to listen and try to learn and be engaged? First, it's just not listening to comments that you see. Understanding that just because something might have the most likes or the most views does not mean that it is more valid than other views. In fact, it might be extremely invalid depending on what you're looking at. The comment I showed had the most likes. And when you look at that comment and you kind of see where that person's head is at, you realize that that is just such an incorrect thing to think. But it doesn't matter, because even though he may be wrong in what he's saying, there's a bunch of other people that have seen that comment, liked the comment, and has pushed that comment up for more people to see. So it's just a lot of people who might have the wrong perspective, but since they've come together, of course it's going to seem like that is the reality that we're experiencing. And when people see that comment and see how many likes are there, that then changes their perspective on what is true and what isn't true. So now you have a bunch of people who either didn't watch the games, didn't even see the highlights, but if they look at the comments and they say, oh, Halliburton got robbed, now that is their narrative. And funny enough, a lot of people will see that comment, and without really actually doing anything, any research or understanding it, they will then regurgitate that same comment on other people's posts. So it's just someone that's being misled, now misleading more people. So in conclusion, just be mindful of what you see on social media. There are a lot of people who are talking on social media that actually do not know what they're talking about. A lot of opinions and commentary are just people who have regurgitated things that they actually don't understand and haven't put in the time to understand. So anytime you're looking at social media, just be very mindful of the fact that a lot of it is not real. It's not really based on truth. And especially with the rise of like AI bots and people just, or algorithms just really regurgitating or repeating even more comments that they see on these posts, there's just gonna be a whole like cesspool of just lies and cap or misinformation, in fact. So honestly, just at the end of the day, just keep your peace. Understand that you really should not be deeping a lot of things on social media, because at the end of the day, the people that wrote those things probably didn't deep it themselves too. So anyway, that's just a quick video for me. I talk about basketball, a little bit of hip hop, pop culture, and anything else that interests me. So if you like this video, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Yeah.